y'all? It is Tasha. We are back with another video on a Saturday. Like, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out of here. If you are not new, welcome back. And you know I look a little bit different today. I washed my hair, so my locks are in braids right now. And y'all don't want to see the Cleo Sealy of it all, so we just wrapped them up real cute so that I would not have to put y'all through looking at my braids because they're still wet and I was not taking them down to complete this review of Love is Blind. And maybe I'll take my glasses off because it's giving me a bit of a glare and it's getting on my nerves, so maybe it's getting on your nerves too. So you know, I'm just gonna do this review without glasses, so you know, luckily I don't have to see too far because your girl is kind of blind. Understand? All right, so let's jump into just a quick little recap about Love is Blind. So, of course, we knew the other 4 episodes came out yesterday. Today I only watched 6 and 7, and I think I'm gonna watch 8 and 9 tomorrow and come back to you guys then with kind of my thoughts on what's been happening. So we'll kind of do the same that we did last time. We'll break this down couple by couple, and then we all know in these episodes as well, the other couples and singles actually meet. So we'll talk about that towards the end because I have some thoughts about that whole situation. Okay, so we're going to start with Danielle and Nick. So she finally admits she has a problem just with overthinking things, and she doesn't want her decisions to take him away from her. And I just continue to think throughout these 2 episodes, her insecurities just ooze out of her pores. Like, the amount of validation that she needs. Yes, as human beings, I feel like we all want validation, but the extent of what she needs, it can probably be exhausting on a partner just to constantly feel like they have to reassure her that they love her, they're here for her, they think she's beautiful, her anxiety is okay. Like, it just seems like a whole lot that somebody's going to have to do to be able to keep her, secure in the relationship, I guess. Like, it's very weird. And I don't know. Between these 2 episodes, they go to her parents' house and they meet, he meets her family. Her mom is pretty much overjoyed, or either she started the celebration a little bit early with, you know, some champagne, shots, wine, whatever it is. But mom seemed like she was a little bit toasty, in my opinion. Her mom says that she tends to jeopardize her relationship. Like, she's similar to her in that sense, that when she wants her husband close, she tends to push him away. But that's really when she needs him the most. And then as they're sitting out talking, because he ends up coming over, of course, they go fishing because her parents live behind a lake of some sort. And they're like, if you can't catch a fish, I don't know if, you know, you're going to work out here or whatever. He ends up catching a small little fish. But so they finish preparing lunch, dinner, whatever it is. And as they are talking, they start talking about sex. And the stepdad is talking about how very important sex is. The mom starts talking about how important it is. The brother starts, you know, asking how sexually active they are. They start pointing out hickeys on, I believe Nick had a hickey, and they start talking about it. And I am just like, this is a bit weird. Not only is this, you know, a odd situation with your daughter bringing home her fiance that she met in a pod, but also, you know, let's just talk about sex, okay? Let's just make things that much more uncomfortable and let's talk about sex. And I am just cringing, like, can y'all put the champagne down and let's have sober conversation here, because there's a little TMI going on, okay? So the next day, they actually end up having a discussion about the meeting of her family, and she was kind of just second guessing him again. And I was like, girl, here we go every other day, second guessing this man's intentions. You had a panic attack on, you know, your little vacation, for God's sake, and he worked through that. Like, can we please stop with all this? But she says, you know, him meeting her family was just so important to her. And it felt like it kind of got overshadowed by some things that he had going on with his family and friends kind of that same day. I guess they were texting him or maybe calling him, and then it kind of eventually got under his skin. And I'm putting my context clues together that after maybe they left her parents, he kind of just, blurted out, was able to vent to her about everything that had happened that day in addition to meeting her family. And she felt some kind of way about that because she felt like it should have been all about her and her family. And he's trying to explain that, like, I had other things going on outside of meeting your family. Like, that part was just a portion of my day. So, I mean, it's not all about you. And I felt him in that moment of, he had a good time while he was in the moment. He bonded with your family. Why does he need to then come back around to you to reassure you that, oh, your family's great. I had a great time. Yes, I still do want to marry you. You're great. You're fabulous. Like, it's going to be give and take when you're in any type of relationship, especially a marriage. So granted, he didn't maybe give you what you needed in that moment, but I'm like, girl, he showed up and he was present in the moment while he was there from what we saw. So just let him have his moment. I just don't understand. So he's like, things are not all about you. And then she basically tries to call him a narcissist. And they end up walking away from each other, not on the best terms. And again, I think it's going to be rather exhausting for Nick for having to constantly affirm his feelings for her. Really having to do some serious words of affirmation. Like, his actions are not enough for her, when I feel like most times it's the opposite. Men talk a good game, but their actions don't back it up. But it seems like his actions are definitely not enough, and he's going to constantly have to tell her things to reassure her. And it couldn't be me, y'all. It couldn't be me. The next day, he ends up apologizing to her because of saying that, the world revolves around her. We don't see her apologize to him. And I'm just like, how is that not fair? Because I feel like your insecurities kind of started this whole disagreement. So why don't you think you need to apologize? She starts to cry as they're having a discussion. And she's saying, like, I've had panic attacks and you've always been here for me. And, I just want to be there for you when you're having a tough time. Girl, well, be there for him, girl. And stop making it seem like he always has to reaffirm you. Practice what you preach. That's simple as that. So Danielle ends up meeting his mom and sister. She is so nervous, of course, because she already has high anxiety. So meeting them and hoping that they like her and everything is just taking her on edge right now. She tells them, she tells his family how insecure she is. Talks about her weight loss journey and how that's why she kind of did the experiment, because she wanted somebody to really, like her for her and not just her outside appearance. And he did warn us that, his mom is just kind of, like even keel, and he wasn't lying. His mom was really flat. She didn't have much emotions that she was showing. Her voice is pretty monotone. She ain't really smiling. She not showing no signs of excitement. And I'm just like, lady, if you only knew that you are probably going to make this girl go back and cry on your son's shoulder all night long because you are not giving her anything that she needs for reassurance. But I was like, geez, mama, can we get a little something from you? But she's basically, saying how Nick really moves slow and she wasn't sure if he was ever going to get married because the divorce that she and his father had really took a toll on him. So of course he just wants to truly get married one time and he doesn't want to get divorced. And his mom was like, nobody wants to get married to get divorced. Like, I hate when people say that, like, I don't want to get married to get divorced. Nobody plans to get divorced when they get married, people. It just happens. Something that just happens. I wish people would stop saying that. I might have been guilty for saying it in the past, but I'm just like, it just happens, people. Okay. Anyway, Nick then goes to Danielle's place and she is again so nervous about him seeing her place. This girl gets nervous about everything. And she's nervous that because there's an age difference with them, which I haven't really paid attention to, but I think she may be in her late 20s and he may be in his mid 30s, if I'm not mistaken. So she thinks her place may be a little bit more childish than what he's used to. And he was kind of right. She has a hot dog costume and a corn costume that she just sometimes puts on when she's having gatherings at her place. She showed us, I believe, a table or a chair or something that was broken because her friends decided to get on top of it and dance. And Nick is kind of like, yeah, the age difference is really showing here. On that realm of things, y'all just don't connect. And I'm just like, this is going to be interesting if y'all actually follow through with this, but we'll see. But yeah, she seems to be younger in her behavior and of course in her emotions that she can't quite control. So we're going to move on to Ayanna and Jared. So she goes to his place and she's, of course, is snooping everywhere. She finds a gift that he's kept from his ex, which is a cute little, I don't know if it's a jewelry box or just a watch case or what it is, but it has his initials engraved in it. And she feels some kind of way that he still has it, saying that, you know, when I break up or with somebody or when I'm out of relationship, like all gifts and everything, like there's no friendship, everything is completely cut off. And I'm like, Ayanna, like you got to grow up a little bit as you get older. Every breakup or end of a relationship is not on terrible terms. So you may still be cordial or even very, very much so like the other person. Hell, maybe I just like the gift and I want to keep the gift. Like I ain't keeping the person around. I just got the gift. The gift was for me. The gift is not a long-term connection to the two of us. The gift is my gift. Do you know how much stuff you would be throwing away as you get older if you threw away everything from an ex? Girl, I'm gonna need you to get over that. He's basically ready to have kids, we learn. She wants to wait. She kind of asks if that's why he wanted to choose Mallory over her, because she feels like Mallory is a bit more stable and maybe ready for children. And Jared said no. So she said she's just been trying to figure out the differences between her and Mallory. And I'm like, you really don't need to spin your wheels thinking about that. I know you feel like the second choice, but you need to get over it. If you said yes and you're going to marry this man, you just got to let the past be what it is. If you're going to concentrate on that so heavily, you should not have said yes to the proposal, because it's going to drive you insane. And it's sometimes questions you really don't need answers to, in my opinion. So they go to meet his parents, and it's a complete surprise that he is engaged. He didn't even tell them about the show, the experience, or absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, okay. But his dad is a pastor, so, you know, supposedly it's the religious reasons as to why he, you know, didn't want to go that route, but whatever. His mom immediately likes her and is like, oh, she's just so cute. So he, you know, shows them her finger with the ring on it, and mom and dad both start to cry. And his parents basically share their love story of, you know, when they met and his dad was just head over heels for his mom, and they've been together for over 25 years. His dad is a preacher, like I said, so he has said he's never married anyone, and it would only be right if he would be the officiant for their wedding, because Jared is his firstborn. And he teared up, and it was just such a sweet, touching moment for them. Of course, not to know anything about it, but also like in a split second be super supportive of their son and his new fiance. Like, it was so cute. And Ayanna just seemed to like fall in and connect with his mom and dad. And the conversation just seemed easy with them. I just thought it was so sweet. Later on in the episodes, we see, you know, him getting ready to go out as he's also kind of playing his video games, and she would rather stay home and watch TV. And we kind of learned about this in the pod of him being more extrovert and her being more introvert. She talks about, you know, him saying that about him making adjustments for her, and she's a little bit nervous about that, because I guess it was like a Tuesday night, and she's like, but you going out as a Tuesday night. And I'm like, you can't expect him to just flip the switch and automatically be different than what he was just a few weeks ago. But also, girl, you gonna have to compromise just a little bit also. Like, it's okay for you to go out every now and then. Like, even if you don't stay the whole time, if you're like, hey, I'll go out and hang for about an hour and then I'll come home and, you know, I'll meet you when you get home later. It's going to have to be a give and take on both sides of maybe him not going out so much if he goes out multiple days out of the week, and then you also tagging along in those instances when you don't necessarily feel like it. It's just, again, give and take in relationships, what you got to do. So we will move on to Deepti and Shake. So we learned that her last relationship was 6.5 years long, and she never brought this person home to meet her parents. And I'm like, it's a bit of a red flag, Deepti. Like, what is happening here that you would not bring somebody that you dated that long to meet your parents? So Shake is the first guy she's bringing home to meet her parents and her siblings. They were all surprised that she brought home a brown guy because, you know, they know she don't really be dating no brown guys. And Shake is really kind of putting on like he likes her. I'm not sure if something has changed between what we saw previously when they were in Mexico and now. I'm unsure as to, does he like her now, or is he just putting on a front for the family? I don't really know. Her mom asks if they're ready to get married, and he's saying, no, like, she's the most amazing girl I've ever met. She's sweet, she's kind, she's beautiful, all this good stuff. And he honestly fits right in with her family as they were talking and sitting around eating and things like that. So I would hate it if they didn't work, because I feel like they could really work. But I don't have much faith in Shake. I'm sorry, I just don't. Then we see later on that Deepti goes to meet Shake's parents, and they ask about the entire experience and, you know, share with them again that we're the first brown people either of us have been with. And his parents seem really supportive. His mom is really excited. He does get some alone time with his mom, and he tells his mom that he does not feel that animalistic attraction to her. And he's like, I'm kind of worried because I have felt that with other people, so I know it's there. I'm just not sure why I don't feel it with her. And his mom was like, I'm kind of identifying more with her. She's nice and she's a beautiful looking girl, and she honestly deserves somebody that will give her everything and not 1% less. And I'm like, Shake's mama, you better get with it and get him together, okay? Because if you ain't here to give this girl your all, I'm gonna need you to leave this girl alone, Shake. Point blank and the period, okay? All right, so now we move on to Natalie and Shane. Shane is just so lame, y'all. I'm just not understanding what Natalie finds attractive, what Shayna found attractive, what any woman finds attractive. I'm just having a real hard time figuring out what anybody finds attractive with Shane. I mean, his teeth, his dorkiness, that hair, he just ain't good. He ain't cute. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me. But he ain't cute. And his personality and the way he acts just makes him that much, I don't want to say ugly, makes him that much unattractive. Let me say that. He just doesn't feel very genuine to me. Like, all this just feels like an act, in my opinion. They seem like, again, such an odd couple. She seems like the mom and he seems like the kid. They keep saying, oh, I love you, and they just keep kissing, and I am just not buying any of it at this moment. They talk about finances throughout these 2 episodes, and she wants to buy a house. He isn't so sure. They talk about 401ks, because she's like, you know, you got to have 401ks, and he's like, I kind of don't really believe in 401ks, and I kind of just like to take risks. And she's like, oh, I just love it that he likes to take risks. It's just so opposite of me. Yeah, it's all fun and games, so he gamble all y'all money away on some Bitcoins or something. Okay, let me see how you like that then. They talk about the wedding, and he basically says he wants like an old-fashioned fountain that just flows old-fashioned drinks. And then it would be cool to do like a kids buffet, you know, just like with cheese curds and hot dogs and pizza and stuff like that. And I'm like, that fits you perfectly, Shane, a big kid. But he wants the old fashioned because his dad, of course, recently passed away. His dad loved old fashioned. So that I think she should be able to compromise on, because her family is very dry. They're not drinking, but I think she can compromise on that if they go through with this wedding. So they meet her parents, and she did not tell her parents at all about this process either. And I'm like, what is it about these? Like, what did y'all tell? So y'all just didn't tell y'all family or friends nothing? Y'all just went MIA for like some weeks and nobody called, nobody was concerned, nobody sent up smoke signals. Like, I just don't understand how this process can happen and y'all just don't share it with anyone, especially your parents. I don't get it. So she's, of course, very, very nervous that her parents are about to come over and actually meet this jerk of a fiance that she has for the very first time. But she says, I really, really love Shane and I'm here for him. And I'm risking my parents being upset to, be able to be with him. And I'm like, I don't know why, but okay. Her parents walk into this place and they're like, whose place is this? Why are we here? Like, it's really nice, but really, whose place is this? She's like, it's mine. I move. And they're like, but whose place is this? Because she's looking real suspect. And I'm just like, it's now or never, Natalie. It's now or never. So she tells them about, her experience with Love is Blind, and she's now engaged, and the apartment that they are in is her apartment with her fiance, and she's getting married in 2 weeks. Like, she just drops all of this on her parents in like 1 or 2 sentences. And her mom is sitting there like, bitch, you must be crazy. Her dad is just giving a little nervous laugh, and I don't know how to read either one of them. Her mom does not really seem like she's buying it. Natalie's really trying to tell, he's such a funny guy, and he's just so spontaneous. He's really like you, Mom. I think you're gonna love him. And Mom is just looking like, you can say all you want, but I ain't buying none of this nonsense that you're trying to feed me, okay? She tells them that, Shane is just very kind, and I'm just like, Shane's a lot of things. I'm not sure if kind would be one of the ways I would describe him. But her dad is just telling her mom, like, hey, just give him a chance. Let's just see where this goes. And oddly enough, they wrap up episode 7 with that. So I haven't yet seen actually how the conversation went. So we'll discuss that on the next review when I do episodes 8 and 9 together. So we'll move on to Shayna and Kyle. Let's talk about it, y'all. She starts off by sounding stupid. And the first time we see her, she says she thinks she is meant to be with Shane, but she chose Kyle because she loves how he makes her feel. He makes her think. He makes her feel confident in the relationship. And so she just wants to see where things go. And I'm like, so how does that make sense? That he does or makes you feel all these things, but you really feel like you're meant to be with Shane, with another man. All right, Miss Duck Lips, if that's what we going with, okay. So he meets her family and they talk about communication issues, and they pretty much agree that that is her personality, which is completely terrible. At some point, as you grow up, you have to get better with your communication, people. Let's stop using that as an excuse. He tells them, they ask about God. And first of all, the conversation in the interaction is very awkward. It's like her mom, her dad, and I think she has 3 brothers, and like one brother is asking a whole lot of questions. Another brother just kind of keeps looking off into space like, I'm in the Twilight Zone. Is this really happening? Another brother just kind of sits there and asks a question or two. So just the whole interaction is very weird, in my opinion. But of course, they ask if he's a godly man, is what the brother said. And he was like, what? And he was like, are you a godly man? And he's like he didn't understand. He's like, do you believe in God in your God? He's like, oh, I thought you were saying godly. He did say godly. You just don't know what godly means, Kyle. Okay. So he says, no, he just really hasn't put much thought into God and religion. And all of her family just sat there like, WTF. So you going to bring somebody around here who don't love Jesus into my house? That's what you going to do, Shayna? Okay, girl, we see what you're doing. So after he says that and her mom gets a little mini confessional, we find out that they ain't buying this relationship either. And her mom says she would not be able to give her blessing to Shayna. So I was like, well, I mean, we knew this was not going to work because Shayna is fraud, but mama ain't giving her blessing. So we know this ain't going no further. So we actually, after that, we see them kind of walking alone together and talking. And he talks about them, maybe wanting to move in together. And that's when she tells him that she just really can't even marry him. I'm like, so this was the time when this man is like, let's move on to the next step. And she's like, pump your brakes. We ain't going no further than this little walk in the park we're doing right now. This is the end of it, sir. Sorry to tell you. So she says it all boils down to her religion. And I am like, girl, you knew that from the pods. Why did you say yes? She said she really felt that from the beginning when he kind of asked, well, when did you start feeling this way? And why didn't you say anything? And she's like, I've always felt it and we just didn't have the time. And I'm like, BS. Y'all had nothing but time. Y'all was in pods, I believe, with no electronic devices and things like that. So you had nothing but time to sit in a pod and talk to this man about how y'all was going to figure this out if you wanted to move forward with him. So quit using that as your lame excuse. But he isn't buying it. He's like, I just can't believe, in this day and age, religion is really just a deal breaker like that. And I mean, I can believe it because it seems like to me it would have been maybe more of a deal breaker if he was another religion and their religious beliefs were complete opposites. Then I could see how that would have a hard time gelling. But since he really doesn't have much religious beliefs and he was actually open to what she believes in and things like that, I mean, maybe it could have worked, maybe not. But I believe, again, if she felt so strongly about it and she knew she felt so strongly about it, why did we get here? You should have just went home as one of the singles that didn't find anybody, or you should have just been more upfront with Shane and then you could have been with that jerk all along. But why string this man along? Like, this man give you his mother's engagement? Like, Shayna, you are trash, child. But once she tells him that and they walk away from each other, she of course apologizes to him. And I'm like, girl, you ain't sorry for what you did. She tells us that she is still attracted to Shane, and she says that as if he is still available and just waiting on her to make a move. Like, now I'm free and I can go get my man. But Shane is not available at the moment, ma'am. So quit being a hoe and go sit down and find your own man. Okay. So the last couples is Mallory and Salvador. They're so boring. They get on my nerves. They meet with his sister so they can meet her. They talk, about her liking more than one person in the pod. And he's like, tell them who it was. And she tells them. And I'm like, for what, Salvador? They don't know who Jared is. Why did you want... That was so weird. Like, why did you want her to say that when these people don't know what was going on in that whole, throuple y'all had going on, whatever. But he just gets on my nerves, and his hair gets on my nerves for some reason. Call me petty, y'all. It does. Sal then meets up with Mallory's sister, and they discuss his dating history. And his longest relationship, we found out, has been 2 years, and her longest relationship has been about 6 years. It seems that, her sister really didn't have much knowledge about her being on this show either. So she was really asking a lot of questions. She was real nervous. Like, she was just like, when is the wedding? They're like in 2 weeks. And she just, she's tearing up and crying. Like, she is like, again, what is happening? And still, my mind continues to be blown that y'all just have not shared with your family and friends that you were gone off in this pod for however many days. You were off in Mexico in another country for however many days. And y'all didn't share this with the important people in your life. It is just weird to me. I just don't know. Sal seems to think, it's cool if, her sister doesn't show up because he does want the blessing of her sister. But he's like, and it's about us. If she comes, she comes. If she doesn't, she doesn't. And I'm on the opposite of, if she don't show up, Mallory is not marrying your behind, because that's going to be her sign that she don't need to do this. So you can have all the faith you want, Salvador, but I don't think so. Okay. So now that we're done with the couples, we'll talk about when they all met up. And they also met up, of course, with some of the other people in the pods that did not find somebody. So, but of course, they've, heard all these voices and met these people. So really just putting some faces with names. And Natalie lets us know that Shayna called her and was acting like she was checking up on her, and then tells her that, oh, if things don't work out, I have someone that I can hook you up with, and I'm like, the shade. You tell her that so that you can then swoop in and get her man. Like, girl, stop it. And then Shayna is, she's talking to Danielle and Nick, which is really weird because it's just like little gossiping, you know, sixth grade girl locker room chatter. And I'm just like, this is insane. But she starts talking about how Natalie is just so insecure basically now that she is there and Shane is able to see her. Because you remember, Shane didn't meet her because she left Mexico before all the other couples could really get together. So, Shane eventually, of course, comes up to talk to her. They actually go walk off and talk to each other, talk with each other alone. And I don't know how much time has lapsed, but it feels like a lot of time had lapsed with the two of them talking by themselves. And I'm just like, I don't really like you, Shane, but Natalie still don't deserve this because obviously she knows y'all have some type of connection as well. So this is just real disrespectful right now. This is real disrespectful. And Shayna is basically pretty much laying it on heavy and flirting with him. And if Natalie had came to slap her in the face in this moment, I wouldn't have been 100% upset. He brings up what Natalie, of course, told him with, you know, talking on the phone with Shayna. And Shayna saying, you know, I got somebody else for him if things don't work out with you guys. And Shayna starts to show her true colors. I mean, we've seen it, but they're even brighter now, I guess. She starts saying that, you know, that was completely taken out of context. And I'm like, child, you were serious. You're trying to scoop right on in on this girl fiance. She says, you know, I don't know if y'all are just bored in your relationship or what is happening with y'all as to why you have to discuss me and take things out of contact with me. She was just talking and I was like, you know, if things kind of don't work out, I have somebody else for you. Girl, we see right through you, okay? And then she starts to get really upset. Like she starts to curse and, you know, I think she even said, she called Natalie a bitch or said something like, y'all just need to be honest. And like, if it was me, I'd be like, do you still like this bitch or what? Like what? And I'm just like, you getting a little bothered for somebody who's trying to say they ain't bothered. Just my opinion, you sounding real bothered right now, Miss Shayna, and it's showing everything that your mouth is saying the opposite of. I'm very, very happy for you, but yet everything else is showing that no, I'm trying to make you not like her and call her out and her insecurities because I want you to like me. That's basically what you are saying. But they both pretty much look goofy and they deserve each other at this point. She's being totally passive aggressive and saying that she is trying to be portrayed as the villain in their fake ass relationship because she thinks it is a joke. And it ain't no secret that I don't like Shayna, but I gotta agree with her on this fake ass relationship. We all know Shane and Natalie are not going to make it down the aisle and get married. So I can agree with you 1000% there that this is a shady looking relationship, but you still wrong in your behavior right now, girl. It ain't a good look. We then see Salvador actually pulls Jared aside and talks to him. And, you know, that he shares that him and Mallory has had some issues. And Jared's like, nah, everything's kind of been all good with me and Ayanna, really no arguments. Salvador didn't have to bring up the ring comment, of course, because we knew that Mallory's pretty much threw Jared under the bus when it came with that. So, you know, Jared was like, I was kind of just joking because I had asked her about, you know, what type of ring she wanted and she had told me. So I knew what she liked or whatever. And Sal is just like, oh, I just kind of, you know, just wanted to clear the air. I was like, no, you feeling insecure again because, you know, your fiance is feeling him. And then let's be honest, physically and in the looks department, you really don't hold a candle to Jared. So you just want to make sure that, you know, Jared, I want you to know she done told me what the little sly comments that you said. So we don't hide nothing from each other. And I'm going to need you to know that that is my woman. You're just trying to pee on your tree like a dog. That's what I feel like, y'all. I don't understand. Anyway, as it wraps up their time together, Shane ends up telling Natalie what Shayna said, you know, and what would cause her to say that. And I'm like, y'all know Shayna is a hater. And basically Shane feeds right into it. He just starts, you know, kissing all up on Natalie and just being real close. And I'm like, Shane, you just trying to play both sides. You trying to act like you showing Natalie that you really care and adore her, but you also are trying to make Shayna jealous in the process. And I'm sure you're hoping that she sees you kissing and doing all this stuff with Natalie so that she'll be upset and she'll come back to you and y'all can flirt some more or whatever it is y'all doing. Child, I don't know, but this is a mess so far. So I will watch the next 2 episodes tomorrow and come back with another review. And then I guess one more next week for, I guess they gonna put all the weddings in one last episode to wrap this up. But let me know you guys' thoughts below from what we've seen thus far. Have your thoughts changed on any of these couples? I think Jared and Ayanna might make it because his family was so welcoming to her, and I know that plays a huge role. I want to have faith in Shake and Deepti, especially because both of their families also seem to be very welcoming to the both of them. But other than that, I think that's about it for me. So if those 2 don't make it, it's a no all around for me. So let me know y'all thoughts, and then we'll be back to talk about episodes 8 and 9 tomorrow. All right, peace.